Hello and welcome to another episode of Capo 10 Tutorials. So after the great feedback that I've gotten from the Fingerstyle version of Thunderclouds that I put up a couple of weeks ago, and I said if I got to 50 subs, then I was going to do a tutorial of this, and I'm now I think a little over 80. So we're going to get this party started and take a look at how exactly to play the Fingerstyle version of Thunderclouds. Great, so I'm going to talk through each bar more or less. Some of it is a bit repetitive, so you'll be able to pick it up quite quickly. But let's take a look at the very first line. So it starts off with this descending melody from the 7th fret on the first string. And then to this E minor type chord. In the recording that I did, you'll hear that I actually arpeggiate this chord or kind of like get this cool rolled effect with the right hand. It's a really good thing to practice with your right hand is thumb, index, middle, ring, and to sort of roll the chord. It gives this really nice effect, and you end up highlighting the melody notes, which is the open first string. So just that first part again. And then the bass line comes in, 2nd fret, open on the 4th string, and then the 7th fret up here. And I do this E on the 7th fret because here it's a bit of a stretch to get to the 7th fret on the 1st string, which is what follows. Yeah, and then it repeats. And this part's a little tricky. 7, 7 on the 1st string, 5, 3, and then you're going to bar down, 2 on the 5th string, and then 2 on the 4th string, and on the 1st string. Together, and then the bass note on the 2nd fret again. So 3, bar down, 5th string, 2 and 2, back to 2 on the 5th string, and then here it's kind of like a C major type shape where you're going to hammer down with your pinky finger, and then your first finger is going to come down on the 1st fret, and then the bass note's going to repeat. And then 3, 2, 3, and then 7th fret. Yeah. And then you're going to play this as a pull-off, hammer on, little ornaments, and then 2 open, 7, da, 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 and then the same thing you had before, hammer on, and then here this is the kind of fancy bits, where you're going to hammer on with your left hand, so you're going to sound this C major shape, which is essentially D major, on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd frets. And then you're going to hammer on with your left hand, and then hammer on with your right hand, and pull off, like that. Da-da-da. Yeah. Then we'll move on to kind of the pre-chorus type thing. I use this line, my first finger only, and then 7, 8, and then open. And then I kind of strum this and hammer on to the 10th fret. And then up strum twice. Hit, 10th fret. And then I play the 7th and the 8th fret together. And then open, and then 7th fret. And then here is the 10th fret, but you have to hit at the same time. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can either hit and play the notes at the same time. This is a little tricky. Or you can sound the 10th fret by hammering on and then hits with your left hand like this. So instead of playing the string, you actually sound it by hammering on with your left hand. And then back to the 7th fret, and then to the C major chord. C major, dun 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 dun. Rest, dun 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 dun. And then this repeats. 10, 7 and 8, hammer on, 7, 10, which you can hammer on, the same thing that we had before, sorry, or, and then C major, da 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 da, da 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 da, and then this cool little triplet thing that I like to throw in occasionally. Just before the chorus. The best way to do this is to practice flicking with your third, your finger, your 2nd finger, and your index finger, so your ring, middle, and index, and then practice very, very slowly, like that. And then when you speed it up, you get that cool triplet sound. If you want, you can even practice it with your pinky finger, and you get 4 notes and then the hits. Which, yeah, I think sounds kind of cool. Going into the chorus, you're going to start off with the 7th fret with your 1st finger, and then the 8th fret with your 2nd finger. And then you'll go 7th fret, open, hit, 10, 7, open, 8, open. And then here, I actually end up sliding using my pinky finger the rest of the way, which is a little bit weird, but it's to link the melody together to make sure that the melody isn't disjointed in any way. Especially here, when you have these big jumps with the left hand, it's very, very important that you try and stick to whatever finger you're using at the lower point so that the melody sticks together. If your finger comes off the string, then you're kind of, the melody isn't connected very well. For example, if I did this, and then I had to jump here, then I wouldn't be hearing this kind of slide which connects the melody. I think it sounds really nice. So all in all, oh sorry, I'm supposed to use my pinky finger there, like I just said. And then up. And then here, a lot of people have been asking me how I do this. This is really important. The bend, which is the part of Sia's voice that they sample. It's really, really cool effect. What you have to do is pre-bend and then 10. Yeah, so which works quite well. Pre-bend, play, and then come back down, open, 10, open. Yeah, and then that is the first page. Let me carry on going here. And then the chorus kind of repeats that pattern. 7th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, 10th fret, and 12th fret. Reminds me a little bit of Blackbird here. Come in a similar position. Hits, 3, bass notes, open, 5, open, thumb on the 3, hits, and then the pre-bend, open, and then that repeats again. Okay, this is the 3rd time it changes slightly. This part's kind of important, and you'll see something strange that I do here, which is, okay, 7 and 8, hit, 8, thumb on the 7th, open, 10, sorry, open, and then you're going to bend down on the 10. Which is normally a no-no because you're on the 2nd string. When you're on the 2nd string, you should be bending up, really, like that. But because we want to get the open string, and if we bend up, we're actually going to disturb the 3rd string, and we're going to prevent it from ringing effectively there. So to avoid that, I just said, well, let's make an exception over here. We're going to bend down. And it's not very big bend. It's kind of like I think I put in there a half of a bend. So it's like a tone, a semitone. Then to 8 with your 1st finger, you're going to keep your 1st finger there and then play this cool chord. Strum that. Hits. And then here, this part, if you get this right, this is a cool little effect. Pinky finger on the 7th fret, 2nd finger on the 5th fret, 1st finger on the 3rd fret, and then you're going to pull off and play the open string. When you're playing the open string, that's going to give you time to get to the 8th fret for the next position. 10, 8, 7, always using this open G in between. That's kind of the idea with the chorus, is that this open G rings the whole way through. In classical music, it's called a pedal point, where the open string keeps returning. And you can kind of play a melody over it, and that's why that's what makes this piece kind of have that like cool sonorous sound. Is that the open G is ringing the whole way through. So 10, 8, 7, and then 8, 10, 8, 7, 5, 3, up to 10 and 12 again, and then we go into this little kind of breakdown. 8, 8, 7, 8, and then here you're going to play the 7th fret and you're going to do a little palm hit. I actually did palm hits for all of these, but I was playing it the other day and I think it sounds kind of cool to do a hit in between. And then this shape over here for the next part, it's kind of like a D major shape. And then 10, 9 open, 8, and then 10 over here to lead back into the next section. You can do the staccato, and it kind of ends that section and then goes into the verse again. And then back to these chords, but it's different slightly because we add this cool little bass line in. It's like a variation of the bass line that works quite nicely. Open 2 staccato, so that means you're going to cut the notes off. And then 7, 5, 3, same thing you had before. And then we have this cool 15 where you're going to bend, or just do like a crazy vibrato. And then open, open, 14th fret. And then 7, 5, 3. And then you have this again. Yeah. So that more or less covers the entire song. Then it repeats again from the pre-chorus, exactly the same, or very similarly. And then the chorus, which is the same, and then the little breakdown is the same. So the main thing here, which is really, really important, is connecting the melody, especially for the chorus. If you find at any point that the melody sounds a little bit like it's not connecting well, or if you find like there's any breaks whatsoever in this top line, that part is so important. That's what people hear. That's the thing that people are going to be whistling when they recognize the song. And if you're not connecting those notes and you're not playing them clearly, then you're kind of doing a disservice to the song. That needs to really come through.